Good day, everyone. I am Love Turban, and for today, I just want to share to you what are the rules in playing track and field events. Rules in playing track and field may have complex rules and rule books. Primary events such as sprinting and long distance running have only few key rules that must be followed by the participants. Failure to follow the basic rules of track and field can result in automatic disqualification. Most of the rules and etiquette around track and field are very simple. Don't interfere with other competitors. Wait for the starter's gun to go off before running. Jump or throw before the fall line. Jump over the bar without making it fall. And pass the baton, a hollow metal tube, to other teammates. We have a basic rules. Each participant is allowed to compete in three events including relays. Each runner is allowed one false start but disqualified in the second false start. Events include 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, 1600 meters, 3200 meters, 4 times 100 relay, 4 times 400 relay, high jump, long jump, shot put, and discus. Okay, so for now, these are the rules of hurdle and sprint. Okay, when we start the hurdle and sprint rules, equal starting blocks are used for all hurdles, relay, and sprint events. The starting blocks consist of two adjustable foot plates attached to a rigid frame. Hurdle and sprint races commence when the firing of the starter's gun. The starting commands are on your marks and set. Once all athletes are in the set positions, the starter's gun is fired, officially starting the race. False starts. If a sprinter commences his or her starting motion from the set position before the starter's gun is fired, it is deemed a false start. The first false start of race results in automatic disqualification to the offending runner. For all sprint and hurdle events, runners must remain within their pre-assigned lanes, measuring 1.22 meters or 4 feet wide from start to finish. The lanes are numbered 1 through 8, starting with the inside lane. Any athlete who runs outside the assigned lane is subject to disqualification. If the athlete is forced to run outside of his or her lane by another person and no material advantage is gained, there will be no disqualification. Also, a runner who strays from his or her lane in the straightaway crosses the outer line of his or her lane on the bend and gains no advantage by it will not be disqualified as long as no other runner is obstructed. The first athlete whose torso reaches the vertical plane of the closest edge of the finish line is the winner. And negotiating hurdles. Any competitor who trails a foot or leg below the horizontal plane of the top of any hurdle at the instant of clearance will be disqualified. And next, we are in the middle distance rules. With all individual races 800 meters and more prolonged, there are no starting blocks. Runners begin in an upright position, their hands prohibited from touching the ground. The starting command for these races is on your marks. Once all athletes are at the mark, the starter's gun is fired, officially starting the race. An 800 meters race comprises 8 runners, each in his or her own lane for the staggered start. In the 1500 meters and steeplechase, which have up to 12 runners, a group start is used. In the 800 meters, all runners must stay within their assigned lanes through the first turn, after which they break for position to the inside lane. In the 1500 meters and steeplechase, There are no lane assignments and runners jockey for position from the start. In negotiating barriers, in the steeplechase, any competitor who steps to the side of a jump or trails his foot or leg alongside any barrier will be disqualified. Athletes may go over the barriers in any way, as long as no part of the foot or leg falls below the horizontal plane of the top bar at the instance of clearance. And next is distance rules. In distance events, there are no starting blocks. Runners begin in an upright position, their hands prohibited from touching the ground. The starting command for these races is on your marks. Once all athletes are at the mark, the starter's gun is fired. Officially starting the race, distance races begin with mass starts. When there are more than 12 competitors in a race, they can be split into two staggered groups for a start. In Olympic distance races, there are no lane assignments, so runners can break for position from the start. Race walking rules. Race walking is a progression of steps so taken that the walker makes constant contact with the ground. The advancing leg shall be straightened from the moment of the first contact with the ground until the vertical upright position. There are 6 to 9 judges for each Olympic race walk event. Athletes are given warnings by the judges when they violate the definition of race walking by exhibiting a visible loss of contact or bent knee. Warnings from 3 different judges result in disqualification. Competitors must retire from the race if ordered to do so by a member of the official medical staff. A competitor may leave the course with the permission of a race judge as long as it doesn't result in the shortening of the race distance. Jumping rules. High jump. Athletes must take off from one foot. A failed attempt occurs when the crossbar does not remain on the supports after the jump because it was touched by the athlete. Athletes have 3 misses at each height before being eliminated from the competition. Whoever clears the highest bar wins. Although ties are frequent in the high jump, the same rules as the high jump apply. Each athlete has 3 attempts to successfully clear a height to remain in the competition. Pole vault. Athletes can place a substance on their hands or the pole to obtain a better grip, but are not permitted to use tape on their hands or finger except to cover an open one. Athletes may use their poles during competition. The poles may be made of any material and can be of any length and diameter. If the pole is broken during the attempt, it isn't considered a failure, and the vaulter gets another attempt. A failed attempt occurs when the bar does not remain on the pegs after the vault because the athlete touched it. And second, the athlete moves his lower hand above the upper one or moves the upper hand higher on the pole once he has left the ground. Long jump. All jumps are measured from the take-off line to the nearest break in the landing area made by any part of the body. A board, 20 centimeters wide, near the end of the runway, marks the take-off point, and the distance jumped is measured from the end of the board to the spot where the athlete first breaks the sand. If any part of the jumper's feet goes beyond the board during takeoff, the jump is rolled afoul and will not be measured or counted. A failed attempt occurs when the athlete touches the ground beyond the takeoff line upon executing the jump. The takeoff line is the edge of the takeoff board, closest to the landing pad. And second, the athlete takes off from outside either end of the takeoff board. And the third is, in the course of landing, he touches the ground outside the landing area crossing to the takeoff line, then the nearest break in the sand. Triple jump. The triple jump consists of a hop, a step, and a jump. In that order, the hop is made so that the athlete lands on the same foot from which he or she has taken off. In the step, the athlete lands on the other foot from which the jump is performed. The jumper first takes off and lands with the same foot, takes off again from that same foot and lands on the opposite foot, and then takes off from that landing foot to leap into the sand. Maintaining correct body position and alignment in the air during the three phases is a crucial component to completing a lengthy jump. It is not considered a failure if, while jumping, the athlete touches the ground with the non-jumping or slipping leg. Failed attempts occurs as described in long jump above. The shot, discus, and hammer are all thrown from the throwing circle. The javelin is thrown from a runway. The name of the game in all of the throwing events is distance. The farthest throw wins. If the athlete steps out of the throwing circle or runway during the act of throwing, the throw is considered a failed attempt. A valid throw must fall entirely within the marked landing area. The athlete must not leave the circle or runway until the implement has touched the ground. Discus throw. The cage is a circle that designates the throwing area. Stepping out of the circle during a throw constitutes a foul, and the throw will not be measured. Each competitor is allowed three initial throws, with the longest distance determining her place in the standings. After the first three throws, the competition can be narrowed to allow only a set number of the top placer in the standings to take an additional three throws to determine the final order of finish. Javelin throw. The trick is to get the maximum forward motion on the approach without stepping over the line. As in the other throws, if the athlete steps over the designated throwing line, the result is a foul and an unmeasured throw. Another tricky thing about the javelin is that it must land tip down to be considered fair. Shot put. The glide involves starting in a crouch position. Shot tackled between neck and shoulder under the chin. Then taking a large, powerful stride backwards towards the launching point while turning the body and uncoiling the legs to release the putt up and out towards the landing area. New putters usually master the glide technique before graduating to the spin. Spinners will do 1 to 1 1/2 rotation before releasing the shot from the edge of the circle and often hopping around and tip to keep themselves from other rotating out of the circle, thereby fouling and nullifying their putts. We have some exceptions. In the long jump and throwing events, competitors are allowed three attempts only. In track events, a false start is assigned only to the athlete who committed it, and disqualification only occurs when the same athlete false starts twice. And that is all for today. Thank you.